Hello again. Right. Yes, what were we doing? Drive chains. Oh, the oil leak reduction techniques we employed last time seem to have helped. Not cured any of the leaks, just sort of, slowed them down to a point where they're acceptable. And the paint is currently still falling off the tank everywhere, because no matter how many times I change the seal and bits in that cap, it does bugger all. Right, anyway, drive chain. Poor little thing's dual drive chain. It's starting to get some nasty tight spots in. It's sort of alright there. And that horseshoe clip has been on and off far too many times for my liking. And there is quite a lot of play in that plate as well. It's not snug over the pins anymore. Now the problem we've got, someone's got, they're meant to be 5/8 by a quarter, the chain. And the back sprocket is 5/8 by a quarter, but the chain is 5/8 by 3/8. So, I don't know if it's had the 5 by 3/8 chain put on because it's got the front sprocket on. And of course we can't get in to measure the thing. So we're going to have to take all the primary off to get down there. Bugger. Okay. Well, we needed to do something with it anyway to try and reduce the leaks from that. So yes, that's what we're going to be doing. Oh, the new back tyre we put on last time, absolutely awful. Didn't expect much more because it is just a budget one. It has restored the handling to 1950s standards. Yeah, there's a bugger all structure in that sidewall. I'll have to mess about with some tyre pressures and see what we can get to. And of course it's a rather flat profile on the tyre, so you can't lean over far. Not like you'd want to with the crap structure in the tyre wall. Yeah, we'll do something. We'll mess about with tyre pressures and whatnot. But you know, didn't really expect too much better. So anyway, right. I shall have me a cup of tea and start taking some bits off there. Right, onward. Okay, so we've got the primary off. Some of the oil was still in it, but you know, it's only done. How far have I gone since the last video? Yeah, about 80 or 90 miles. Yeah, probably closer to 90. So yeah, held some of the oil in for that time. Anyway, we don't have to go any further. If I shine my torch in there, I can just get my head in. You know, now we've got this outer cover off and I've convinced the breather it should be over there. I don't need to take that off to see that's 3/8 that front sprocket, which is a bugger. So yeah, now I need to decide what to do. I could just get another 3/8 chain. The space in between them, between the teeth's the same. It's just it'll be a little bit, well, like this one is, which yeah, I don't like, but yeah. Or we can see if we can get a front sprocket for her, which is, you know, the better option. Why is the better option always the most expensive one? It's like they know and put the price up accordingly. So yeah. Right. I suppose I'm going to have to take this lot off then, aren't I? Well, actually, first, I'll see if anyone's got any of those in stock. Yeah. There's no point in me taking it all apart if I can't get hold of one. Right. Anyway, I'll have a think about the job. I still haven't finished that last cup of tea yet, so I'll have a think about the job and we'll go from there. Maybe. Anyway, right, onward. Okay, so I've managed to find a front sprocket for the gearbox. It's on its way. Rather expensive, unfortunately, and because all the gearing's to cock on this, because that's too small, I essentially need one on there that's too big. Yeah, it's got a 20. I'm sure it's got a 20 tooth on it. Bloody hope it is now I've bought one. But anyway, yeah, if I wanted a 17, 18 or 19, loads of people had them in stock and reasonable prices. I wanted a 20. Loads of people listed them, but no one had them. The only place was the Owners Club. So I've had to order one from there. Now we'll come across a couple of minor little issues. Like some kind of primitive, I did not put any join in this cable. It goes all the way up to the rectifiers. I thought, bloody hell, why the hell did I do that? I'll have to cut it and whatnot. And yeah, just wanted to check my supply of electrical connectors and realised why I didn't. I don't have any left. And the other issue is that is stuck fast. I don't have a puller. That space is a bit snug as well. So I've been rummaging through my blue box over there. It's rather empty at the minute because most of it's on the floor. It's just odds and sods, old bits of tools and things for, yeah, mecking up and cutting with. And Bob's bin of bolts. And I think what we're going to do, because I don't have a puller that fits on this. Your 2- and 3-legged pullers, like, you know, this kind of thing. I haven't got one that'll sit in there. Sure I did. I've had some smaller ones at some point. Lord knows what I've done with them. Probably left them somewhere. And then I've got bits like this, where you essentially shove the black bit in up to the step, and then you smack the end, and the wedge comes in and parts it. But not enough room. That puller would do it lovely if it was about an inch longer. You know, could all do with an extra inch every now and then, couldn't we? So, I've got one of those. It's off a suspension linkage. There's a stack of them down here. Just down there. Used to get through loads of them. Lowering bikes for customers and then raising lowered bikes back up to put in the showroom. So yeah, and well, we used to save old ones, one for making things out of and two in case we got a bike in that was lowered and needed putting back to standard height. But since I don't do that nonsense anymore, I think they're all sacrificial now. So we'll pop that across there. I'll drill a couple of holes in it because naturally they're way too far apart. And then a couple of M8 bolts that should sit nicely in there, and we'll see if we can pull it off like that. Should work, but who knows. I do know that's a little bit snug because I'm pretty sure when I made it, it was on the old wobbly lathe, and I think it might have still been a bit warm when I put the thing on, so I might have inadvertently made that an interference fit. But we'll find out. Right, I'll get some holes drilled in that thing and lash some kind of setup together and see if we can come up with something. Right, onward. Okay, so something like that. Got a cable tie around here just to try and help keep these bolts in because they're already trying to splay out because of course the edge of the teeth are tapered. But yeah, in theory we can either tighten them up or wind that nut back and it should pull the thing off. I bet it blooming doesn't. I bet these just try and spring out. But we'll see. We'll give it a go. Let's pop you somewhere near. Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Well, you can until I put my hands in the way. So there's also every chance it just bends this bar, which it is doing, and now it's bending, it's pulling them out. Flipping heck. Okay. Right. We'll find another way of doing it. Let's back these off. So, I'll find another way. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we've reinforced the setup a little bit. Turns out I'm running out of M8 nuts, so that's got a wing nut and that's sort of a half nut. Because what I've done is I've put some big nuts and washers down the bottom here and tried to clamp it onto the sprocket. And I'm going to try and block the camera with my arm. Oh, that's not going to fit in there. That might. Maybe help if I had the right size spanner, wouldn't it? So yeah, anyway, we're going to try and wind that 5/8. That should be right. Mind you, the bit of play might help. No. There we go. Yeah, use the crank nut to wind the thing off with a bit of luck, and we'll see what happens. It'll either work or it won't. I'm going to have to find a better fitting spanner than that. Dum dum dum. Where are they? Let's see if that one will go in the gap. It's a bit low. Slightly better, but yeah. Oh, I'm not sure what's happening there. It might be moving, it might not be. We're definitely getting some tension on it anyway. This is going to hurt my fingers when it lets go. It'd help if my spanner wasn't so long it's hitting the floor. I think we might be moving. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to get to the end of the thread on this nut and damage the nut or the end of the crank. Yeah. You know, I can't tell if that's moved or not. What size are they? That'll be 12mm head, and that's whatever pair of nasties I can get on it. Instead of rummaging through the box, let's go and get some out of the drawer. We know where they are when we know they're good. Nope. If I turn that, that's just going to spin that off there by the looks of it. Blow my neck. There's a bit of torch in there, it might be starting to pull. Torch on my little crappy old phone. There we go. Yeah, it's pulling. I think it is anyway. Let's keep going. Right. Spanners. 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 think we can go a little further yet. Yeah, we'll get a couple more turns on that before we start risking threads. Flipping it, that is stuck on. Now you see, if I wasn't using those threads, I'd give the end of that a smack right now and I'm pretty sure it'd move it. But I don't want to be knacking up that nut or the end of my crank. I'll come up with something. I'll keep trying. I'll flash a bit of heat at it maybe. Of course the cable ties won't stand that. Guaranteed, no matter what I do, it'll all suddenly pop off and fall on the floor while the camera's turned off. Right. I think I need another cup of tea. Onward. Okay, as predicted, I didn't have the camera on when it first moved. You can see we've got a slightly different setup here. The old suspension dog bone, yeah, that wasn't up to the job. Looked like it was. Definitely wasn't. I'll let you guess which nation made that steel. Anyway, to prevent the bolt heads from slipping out behind the sprocket, I made this little plate, just big hole in the middle so it's sat over the spacer. It has moved forward now. There we go. And two small holes, that just stops these bolts splaying out and popping off the sprocket teeth when it's under tension. Got a little bit of brass just on the end of the crank. I don't know if we can see that there. Yeah, you probably can. Yeah, just sort of right in there and there, just to protect the end of the crank. And yeah, now we've got a rigid bit of metal on as opposed to that other bit of rubbish. Just not a bit of scrap angle iron kicking about. I've barely got any tension on it, and because this isn't flexing and deforming like the other one is, it was just right. I thought I'll put it on, I'll nip it up, and I'll go get the camera before I try anything, and it just went and popped on its own. So lovely. Yeah. So it's just a case of keep winding these nuts and it'll all draw off nicely. And you don't need to see 20 minutes of me running nuts down threads. So, as that's now a success, there is a celebratory cup of tea over on the bench there. So I'll have the celebratory tea, then we'll take the rest of the primary off. Okay, so we're in. And flipping out, there's some oil and grease and muck down here. So, we'll get it all cleaned out while we're here. But yeah, that's essentially as deep as we need to be. But I wanted to check for clearance as well, because I don't particularly want to put another Reynolds chain on. And yeah, there's enough clearance, I think. Yeah. So when that sprocket turns up, actually I've got to get that undone, that's going to be a git. If I remember right, that's 7/8 Whitworth. And I've only got an open-ended spanner. And trying to get that in through there is a little bit hard work. I'm sure it's left-handed thread as well. Yeah, it is. Could be fun. Do know a chap who's got a box spanner the correct size for doing these. Unfortunately, I believe he's in New Zealand at the moment. Which isn't much cop, is it? So yes. Yeah, like I said, I didn't particularly want to run the Reynolds chain with the thin plates and bits. They're a good chain, nothing wrong with them at all. Old industrial chain. But they're not the cheapest thing in the world. If I put a 520 on it, I can just get a DID for half the price. So hopefully there'll be enough clearance for that. I'll have a good look around and just make sure. Because of course modern chains are still measured in 1/8 of an inch. A 520 is 5/8 of an inch between the pins, like these are, and the 20 is 2/8 across. So, you know, 2/8 is a quarter. So, yeah, 5/8 by a quarter, which is the sprockets we're putting on. So all should be well. Right. Okay. I'll see if we can get this thing undone. Wish me luck. Okay, so yeah, it is 7/8 Whitworth, and I have only got it in open-ended. I'm hoping this is what I did it up with. Hold it on the back brake, so it shouldn't be mega tight, because they've got a lock ring. So I presume I did it to a sensible torque and just put the lock ring on, but we'll find out in a minute. I've just put the pin back in the brake arm, and I'm sort of hoping if I shove down on the brake, what am I going to whip my hands on? And that, oh, there we go. Flipping out, that was a bit easier than I thought. So yeah. Yeah, if I remember right, when I first got the bike and I tried to undo this, it was a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, success. There we go. Right, I've just got to wait for the new sprocket to turn up now. Wonder how many cups of tea I'll drink in that time. Still, plenty of cleaning to do. Right, I'll bring you back when I've got some parts. Okay, so the sprocket's turned up, and I've just been and picked up a chain for it. Unfortunately, said new sprocket doesn't like that shaft. It sort of starts, gets to, there we go, and that's as far on as she wants to go. Probably could force it on because it doesn't feel like it's too far out, but I don't want to be doing that and ruining the shaft. And it does seem to be those bits that are touching. If I pop it on and shine a torch behind it, we can get a bit of light through these patches, but on these smaller bits there's nothing. So I'm presuming that's what we're catching on. It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, something as expensive as it is for what it is, and yeah, made in England stamped on it. Expect it to fit. Not to worry. Right, I shall clean this up a little bit. It might be something to do with the treating process. It looks like it's been blued and bits, so yeah, I'll give it a quick clean up, see if I can make it fit. Okay, so we're just giving it a quick lick with the file. I've tried to do it at sort of slight angle because I just want to take the edges off in case it's just a burr or something. Didn't particularly want to take any meat off there, and sort of similar on this edge. So yeah, we'll give it a go. You never know. It's probably just part of the coating process why it doesn't fit. But there we go. One of those. Superb. That's what we like to see, isn't it? I just hope I've still got enough clearance for the other chain, because I think it is. Yeah, I think there's enough for a standard chain in there. We'll find out soon, won't we? Right, I'll yeah, start putting a couple of little bits on here and there, and then we'll run that other chain round. Or do we do that first? No, I've got to cut the other chain to length, it's a bit long. So yeah, I'll start popping a few bits and bobs on, and then we'll run the other chain round once I've cut it down. Okay, right, cup of tea and onwards. Flip out, would you look at that? The hole in the locking plate's in the wrong place as well. Or the hole in the sprocket is, whichever way round it happens to be. Yes, not to worry. Anyway, yeah, that's a clutch up holder. Just lock it in the sprocket and just resting it on that bolt. So yeah, she's plenty tight enough at that. In fact, it's maybe a little bit too tight by the time I've got the hole somewhere near. but it was either have it too loose on that hole or too tight on that one. So, you know, we went for marginally too tight, but I'm just going to have to alter that hole. Looks like it has already been altered once or twice in its life, but yeah, little needle file. I'll get in there with something and just move it down a little bit. Onward. So far, I'm not impressed with my purchase. Can't run with the locking tab on. These holes are so close to the nut and at such a jaunty angle, you can't get the screw in. I've rummaged through my little tub of BA bolts, no screws, and that is still going to cross thread it. I said it's sitting on that edge of that nut. You see, I've sort of turned the nut a little bit so I'm on a flat there rather than sat on one of the peaks. And can I heckers like get it to do anything? I'm presuming it's 2 BA. I think it's 2. I'm assuming it's BA. The old one's BA. This screw fits lovely in the old one. The old screw fits lovely in the old one. But I'm never going to get anything in that. Now if those holes were straight, then yeah, you could get something in, no bother. But the angle they've been drilled and tapped at, I can't get anything in there. So we're going for the good old make it really tight and hope. It is really tight, just got some hoping to do. Yeah, so like I said, so far, not impressed at all with that, especially for the price of the bloody thing. Still, not to worry. Right, what was next? I can't remember. Rather annoyed at my stupidly overpriced sprocket that I've had to file to make it fit on the splines. And yeah, discovered that the locking tab holes are in the wrong place. What a pain in the arse. Right, anyway, enough of me moaning. I'll start putting some, I'll do something. Anyway, right, onward. Okay, well I've made an executive decision. That's not going on. I'm not re-drilling and tapping sprockets. No, I'm just not doing that. So, no, you can't see it. It's got some gob I want to lock it in place. Some kind of adhesive, pick your brand you prefer, and just run it really tight. Didn't particularly want to do it that tight, but it's, yeah, I'm happy. It'll stay on. It'll stay on. I'm happy that it won't come off. I'm not happy with the sprocket. So you know, direct your hate mail to the Norton Owners Club for that one. The modern chain does just clear. I wouldn't want it any closer. And see, the main reason we still run the Reynolds chains on stuff like this normally is because it's an industrial chain, and I forget the ISO numbers now. But anyway, these plates on the older chains, the older style chain should I say, are roughly 1.5mm thick, whereas on modern chains they're 2mm thick. So, you know, it's only 1/2 mil per plate, but you've got 4 there, so that's 2mm wider. You know, a mil extra either side, which, since there isn't much clearance to start with on these, is, you know, it's enough. Like I said, because it's the 5/8 by a quarter or 520 in new money, as opposed to the 5/8 by 3/8 or 530 in new money, we've got a tiny bit of room to play with. And yeah, it's in, it clears. You wouldn't want it any closer than that. See if I can get you right in there. There we go. Like I said, there's a bit of gap all the way around. And of course, being a modern chain made by DID by the millions, they're half the price. And more readily available. So yes, much nicer fit. Right, yeah. Now I've stopped being mardy about that sprocket. Just a case of cleaning things and reassembling yet again. I'll clean all the black nastiness off me clutch components, and I'll inspect the homemade alternator while we're here, make sure everything's still happy on that, and then start putting it back together. Possibly pausing for a cup of tea at some point, as my teacup is currently empty. Right, onward. Okay, slowly catch your monkey. I've cleaned up my little spacer, so now it is a snug slip fit as opposed to the light interference fit that I'd actually made it. That was a problem completely of my own making. Like I said, I'm pretty sure when I turned that little spacer, I took it off the lathe and banged it straight on the crank, so it has still been warm. So yes, I inadvertently made it a light interference fit, but you know, snug slip fit now, so yeah, hopefully that's that issue dealt with. We are sort of getting ready for a primary chain on it. It's not quite there yet. We'll know if I'm wrong because it'll, yeah, punch hole to everything. But yeah, I think it'll be okay for the moment. But yeah, like I said, we're on the right path. It is just cleaning and bolting bits back together now, so yeah, well, you've seen the inside of this thing enough times and seen me bolt it back together enough times to know how it goes. I think I'm just going to have a quick look at that, make sure those wires aren't chafing. Why I didn't put any rubber around that, I don't know. There might have been a reason. If there was, it probably wasn't a very good one. Anyway. Right, so yeah, I think that'll do this time. So there we go. She's on the road, back to recovery. And it shall be on the road by the end of the day, barring any nightmares. I'll let you know if there are any. So we've got a nicely fitting chain for the first time. A pain in the arse front sprocket, so we can't have the locking tab on. That has annoyed me, that has. Like I said, if it was some cheap, chinky kind of thing, then, you know, you get what you pay for. But it's got made in England or Britain or whatever stamped on the back of it, and it wasn't cheap. Yes, shouldn't have to file it to make it fit, not nowadays anyway. Well, not to worry. Anyway, right, thank you very much for watching, and we shall hopefully see you in the next one. Ta-da!